Hey guys, welcome to the Southeast Florida RIA, another edition of the weekly meeting. We're here for 20 years, 2024, and helping the investor community, the wholesalers. The purpose of a meeting really is to inspire people, to support them and educate them. And real estate wholesaling, investing, other than networking, it's also really important to know that people are doing deals that you can improve, that you can learn what they do. So that's what we're here for weekly. So if you guys want to reach us or come to one of our meetings, you can look at the wholesaling houses now in the social media. You'll find the link for these meetings. So we're here every week, 12:30. If you're in South Florida, the second Wednesday of the month, we meet in Deerfield Beach, about a mile or two west from the beach. And we'll love to see you live sometime if you're in South Florida, wherever you are. And we have a nice group of people, a nice restaurant, and we talk real estate, talk about deals, networking, and all that stuff. So these meetings are awesome because you get to pick people's brains. There's lenders here, there's attorneys here. You can learn so much about sometimes advanced stuff, especially for the new investor. We were just talking about land trust and a few deals we've done that are very creative, very hard to do for the new investor. And that's what we're here for, to share how we do those deals. And more importantly, if you want to work together, that's another reason of having these meetings, to work together with a friendly group. We love to help, and we love to, sometimes you need the advanced help. Like you need the time, deals take a while. The best thing you can do is probably hook up with someone that's doing a lot of deals, and someone's been there a long time. And that's what we have at these meetings. So you guys can improve your life, learn, get a deal, make a bunch of money, and all that cool stuff. So I want to touch on three things. Well, first I want to tell you, to inspire people as far as the deals we get, we have a great deal working today. Like as we speak, we have a property, I want to say, in South Florida. The ARV is right around 400, and we might be getting it for less than the mid 200s. So we might put it out to our list, or sometimes we have buyers. Some of my people I work with, they might want to rehab it, so they get a first shot. The people that come to the meeting hear it first. We'll let you know later today in a few hours. It's a done deal. We had to inspect it yesterday. And that's another reason why we like to work with people at your meetings, because I'm in a small part in South Florida that I don't want to go south 20 or 30 minutes or more, or north. And there's great deals, right? If there's no deals in my immediate area, I go to my city, my county, I spread out my area. So that's one of the reasons we get so many deals pretty much every week, is because we are very knowledgeable on having a wide range of ways of finding deals or creating these deals. When if you're looking at wholesale deals for cash, that's a little bit tough in this market because everything seems so high, and even the sellers think their property is worth double of what it's worth. So for now, I would say that new people here, there's a good amount of people keep coming to the meetings. So at the end of the meeting, I try to record a few cool things here, and I'm going to answer a few of the questions that were asked that relates to everybody. But I want to touch on three things for people to get the next deal, right? Some of you already have a little knowledge, or you're starting fresh. But before I start those three tips, I wanted to tell you guys, I wanted to answer the few questions that were asked just now. Now, one of the questions from a new investor, new wholesaler is, where do I invest? Do I go virtual? Do I go to my city or my county? And the question was, where do you buy it? Like what area? And this is a question to investors here, which is great to kind of build your cash buyers list. But I can tell you, if you guys want a virtual wholesale, I got a list of 10 states. This is not, I haven't done this myself, the research, but you could find it through either a local agent, find the best areas in your county or your cities. But I have the states here, like top states to buy good, affordable housing. I'll tell you number 10 first. Louisiana, number 9, Alabama, Mississippi, number 7, Delaware, number 6, Oklahoma, Arkansas, number 5, number 4, Indiana, 3, Kentucky, Missouri, and someone mentioned Ohio here. So, Steve, I think Ohio, it's the top state to buy affordable housing that makes sense for investors, whether it's single family or multifamily. So there you go. Now, to answer the question, and immediately here in Florida, Central Florida or South Florida, to answer your question on where should I start, what area. And when you're asking that question to someone experienced, that's someone experienced is going to tell you start with your neighborhood, your city, your zip code, because when someone tells me, where should I go invest? Like sometimes you hear, find out 2, 3 markets. The 2, 3 markets I'm telling you, it's like your subdivision, your zip code, your city. Start like down the street from you. Why? Because if you going somewhere else, that's like if you telling me you're going to go somewhere else, that's you telling me in your zip code, your city, people don't pass away, people don't die, people don't lose their job, they don't go bankrupt, they don't have to move. That's basically what you're telling me. So even if it's a higher price range, or if you think your area is not so good, just remember that question. So I hope I'm answering your question. You stay very local, as local as possible, because I used to call it when I started working with people, coaching people 20 years ago, 15 years ago, I would just tell them, look, control your area. Everything should happen in your area. It's your area. Don't let, just like real estate, it's a game. Don't let other people come and buy in your area. So that would be a shame on you for not controlling your area, not being on top of your area. So to me, when I started, for a while, I was all over the place, driving all day. When I realized that the best deals came from this immediate area, like 5 miles from me, there was 4,000 or 5,000 houses there, and everyone knew me there. Appraisals, agents, title companies. I was the go-to person in that one area, right? So you want to build up to that. It might take you a little bit of time, but Devon or Gina or Mike, or that you're the person in Hallandale, you're the person in Orange County, or whatever specific zip code or subdivisions, right? You want to be there, probably brand something. I had my cars were a brand, people knew me. All the neighbors, they knew that I was the go-to person in that area. So I would tell you, to answer your question, if it was me, I would stay very local. And if anything, instead of expanding your area, you expand your knowledge and your ways of buying different types of motivation, different types of properties, right? So that's the one question. The next, you have any questions on that, let me know. Anybody here? So, and the next thing was the price point. The price point is a great question. We like to stay on the medium price range in your city or your county or lower. Okay, so in my county, let's say in South Florida, my county, if you Google what's the medium price range, it's probably going to tell you about $430,000, right? So the ARV should be right around your medium price range in your city or your county, I want to say. Right, so you want to work on areas that are below. So to ask an experienced investor, a rehabber, a landlord, they're going to immediately tell you, buy a property. They're going to want us buy a property where they can buy it at 50, 65% on the dollar of the ARV. So let's say the ARV is $400,000. The knowledgeable investors, the easy buyers, the real buyers, they're going to want to buy that property for around 250, 200, 180, anything less than 65%, 50% or less than that ARV. Making sense? You guys got it? So that's the answer to the second question, which is what price range, like if you're dealing with a higher price range, you might have a different type of buyer, which is we have a deal right now I can share with you in a minute. It's a $2 million deal, and the short sale got approved last week for about $900,000. The house got mold everywhere. It needs a roof. It's underwater in a great area. So our buyers for $900,000, they're developers, big builders, like people that live in that area. They all have plenty of money to invest, $1.5 million. I don't know if they might tear down the property. You see what I mean? So most 80, 90% of buyers, you want to be in the bread and butter type neighborhoods. So lower than the medium price range. You have a lot to do. Everybody wants rentals. No matter what happens with the market, you can always rent those houses, right? If you're buying it for a couple of $100,000, $300,000, the rental would easily pay off, even if the market crashes, after, if it's an election year or whatever's happening with the pandemics or anything that could happen, right? If you stick to the lower price range, there's always, those properties will always have some good value. Any questions on that? All right. The last question was location, real quick. So if you're east or west, now you're close to the beach if you're east, if you're in Florida or South Florida, and someone asked, if you go west of certain main roads, main intersections, the values are the same, then close to the beach. What happened with that? Now, if we're in Florida or South Florida, do we still have a demand for housing, right? And families are moving down. They usually want a bigger home. And as you guys know, my areas, some of you know, I'm east. So even if it's close to the beach, I have a property on the contract close to the beach, a property we purchased last week. It's only a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. It's worth like $600,000-700,000, right? A 2-bedroom, 1 bath. Like you're not going to fit a family of 3 or 4 in that small property. So people go west where they can get a bigger home. And of course, since there's a need for housing, there's a demand, then those prices just go accordingly to what the need is. Maybe you're closer to a good school, so the values just adjust to that amount. So for now, and that's, in 6 months from now and a year from now, it might be a little different, right? Properties east or close to the ocean, close to some kind of entertaining place, they hold their value even more because there's always a demand for those areas, right? If you have something unique on your property, Devon or Mike, if you have a pool and there's a lot of properties don't have a pool there, that's a demand, that's good, things like that. I would say they hold the value more because if someone needs a pool for health reasons, they'll pay any amount of money. And I've had houses like that, so that's what I know that. Anything else? Any questions on this? If not, I'll get into these 3 pieces really quick I wanted to share with you guys. All right. And this is for new investors, especially, or if you guys invested in yourself. I like that. I'd love to help you because a lot of times people invest in themselves and they have some knowledge, but they still don't get results. So I can tell you, this is 3 things you can do to get closer to doing a deal, because I feel like this is a need at the moment. We're in the second quarter of 2024, and people invested in themselves this year, maybe last year, and they still haven't gotten a deal. And this is a couple of the reasons why, in my opinion, I'm going to tell you three things you can do. So to get to your deal right away. So what you guys can do, number 1, is work on having better conversations with sellers. Now, you're not going to just talk to any seller and say, oh, here's a cash offer. That's not the best strategy in this market. What you guys can do is work on being a better communicator with your motivated sellers. Number 1, you got to target those really desperate sellers. So what is a desperate seller? And that's what I'm talking about. I always talk about increasing your knowledge, increasing like how to deal with, code violations, how do you deal with bad title properties, how do you deal with a probate type property where the owner died and there's no heirs, or how do you deal with someone that's hard to find, things like that I'm talking about. So once you find some of those real distressed sellers, then you work on having really good conversations with those sellers. So the good conversation would be, in this case, why are you selling? Just a bunch of questions, right, for them. It's not about you making offers to them because you're coming in to solve a problem. So when you find the right seller, then you work on having better conversations with those sellers. I feel like that's a big need for new investors, that you got to understand your target audience is real desperate sellers. The second thing is real good conversations with those sellers. And it's not about making offers. It's more about asking questions and see if you can find their need and you fulfill their need at that point. And of course, you have strategies to kind of work on that. And that's, that's the part that you guys need, maybe more training or maybe more ideas on how to deal with us, giving the seller maybe a handful of options to get that deal done right away, right today. And I know the last thing on that, it would be like sometimes you guys are negotiating or giving offers when the seller is not ready to decide on your offer. So that's another thing, even on market properties, if an agent tells you, go make an offer, I won't go out and make an offer. I'll ask the agent, would the seller decide on offers like today, tomorrow, next week? And then I wait to make the offer when the seller is ready to review or sign their offer. So and that's just on market, but off market is the same way. You don't want to be making offers, because what happens sometimes is if you go out there and making offers to sellers that you don't know if they're ready to decide and sign today or tomorrow, then they might, I think they call it shop your offer. They might talk to a few other investors that are calling them, and they might just say, I have an offer for so much, and then they'll sell it to someone else. So you don't want to be that person that keeps losing deals and you don't know why, And I just told you why you might be losing deals on some of these properties, right? You giving offers when the seller's not ready, or you just ask questions and you kind of do the right thing at the right time to be able to get those deals on that. So the next thing, other than conversations with sellers, more quality conversations, the next thing I would say, what you guys can do is find out the different, like I said, the second part was the different options. Now, if you guys are doing our market, uh, it's a totally different strategy. If you're doing with REO bank-owned properties, if you're doing short sales, might be different strategies. If you're doing auction type properties from Hubzu or auction.com and all those auction sites, is a different strategy. So you guys want to be a complete real estate investor, not just a wholesaler. So there's a lot. Assignments are just plain for sale by owners. That's you can assign those properties. Owner finance, lease options. You can do an option on a property. So you want to be able to educate yourself to have option to as much as you can on that. This way, your option you're giving to the seller is one that would work at the right time when the seller is ready to sign, right? You don't want to just be limited to a cash offer when the seller wants 80, 90% of the value. You want to have options like, would you hold would you hold financing on that? Or do you mind if I can do a sub two type strategies, which is like, can you wait 3 to 6 months for me to pay off your loan and pay you or something like that, right? So this strategies take a little time to learn, but once you learn it, if you have a lead, an appointment with a seller, that's going to be a done deal, right? Because if they sell the house to anybody, why not you? You want to be that person that the owner is going to sell that house to, even if they have 20 or 30 other investors that they're calling or they're in touch with. So the last thing I can tell you for now is you have to have your team ready to go, right? Your team is who? Your team. If you talk to a seller today, do you guys know what title company you're going to use? If you want to sign a contract with a seller today, you need a title company to make it a real deal. You need an attorney. You need paperwork. Well, that's not part of your team, but you might need a home inspector. You might need a real estate agent. You might need, maybe a mortgage person. You might need an appraiser on your team, right? A lot of people, they tell me, oh, my house is a little bit of a main road. How much does that bring down the value on this ARV, right? There's a lot to talk to. So part of your team should be a friendly appraiser that you can just call and say, hey, can you give me a quick pencil search on this one house I'm looking to buy? Can you give me an idea? It's not an appraisal, it's just an opinion of value. And that's why you guys come to these meetings, you meet appraisers here, you can have an expert's opinion on value on a specific property. So that's what I'm talking about, having your team ready, because speed is super important in our business. The old saying was, you can't steal in slow motion. So you have to have your ducks in a row. You have to be ready to get a contract today. That's why one of the challenges when I start working with people is, what can we do to buy a house today? And then there's 5 steps to buy a house in one day today, whether it's off market and on market. So for now, those are the 3 steps. If you guys have any questions on anything, by the way, this short sale for almost $1 million approval is got a deed restriction. That's another way to deal with. Sometimes we used to have those a lot, but I think this is what's happening because this is an ongoing deal. So a deed restriction, if you guys know what that is, Alex, you want to explain that in a few seconds?
I'm guessing that there's a restriction on how quickly the property can be resold.
Yes, yes.
And sometimes the trust is a way around that.
Yes, exactly. So the short sale that we have, we did one about a year ago where it's almost like you cannot transfer the ownership if you're doing short sales, because this is what's happening. So I'm saying, like, you have your different strategies, you have to know so you can prepare yourself. If it's a short sale that might have a deed restriction, if you put in a trust, you can kind of avoid that deed restriction, which means that if you get a house, even if you sell it at top value, you're going to have to borrow money to hold that property for 30 or 60 or 90 days. This was very popular a few years ago, but there's still deals now, especially with short sales, where that comes up. So if you're a new investor, you don't know what that is, the title companies would know what that is. And basically that lets you, that's just the approval that comes in a short sale. And one of the first things you look at, does it have a deed restriction? Or sometimes you can only sell it for a very small percentage more of what the acceptance is, the approval it is. And but anyway, so I was just going to say, as far as the other strategy to buy and your team in place, you got to make sure you have that also, as you know, you're equipped to do some of those type of deals. So it's pretty interesting, pretty important to understand or know, and that's what we're here for you guys to help out the investor community. And this is free, or you can come here often and you can learn little by little, or you guys can work with us. One of us here, we're very experienced people here. We've done a lot of deals. We have good lenders, attorneys that come here that we can help out. And but that's it. You guys have any last quick comment or question? Pretty clear with some of the questions. Thank you guys for coming, and you know how to reach us, how to find the link for our meetings, Wholesaling Houses Now. And if you guys want to share a deal or partner up on a deal or structure a deal, you know, let us know. You can send us a direct message, and Wholesaling Houses Now. And if you guys want some coaching, or you want to invest in my my advanced real estate course, you can also do that. Just send me a DM and I will share some more info on that. Or you can check out our website, Zefreia.com, SEFREIA.com, and look forward to seeing you at one of our next meetings. Thanks.